All right, you ready? So, you've decided to do the opening for the Auburn Meadows neighborhood pool. Let's begin. Here we are, we have two locks. So, we've got the lock to the gate, and we've got the lock to the key box. I'm not going to tell you the codes on those. I'm not going to tell you how to open those. You'll be told how to do that in your training. But for now, these are the two locks that you're going to be dealing with the most. All right, so once you've got this box open, you're going to have your key fob. You can either unlock that lock up to and go through this gate, or you can take your key fob and go through the main clubhouse entrance. I prefer this because when you open up the gate and you forget it open, you'll have random people who will walk through, and because it's the path of least resistance, and we do not want to set the expectation that people can walk through that gate. So for security reasons, make sure you leave that gate locked. If somebody does walk through that gate, just tell them don't do it again and go and lock the gate. Blue tag activates the key. And we are inside the clubhouse. So next thing you're going to do is go to the office. Ooh, nah, somebody left their shoes on my desk. Actually, fuck that. All right. So in here, you've got your timetable and data log. Got your safety equipment. Got your test kit. Got your med kit. And you have your radio. Do you want to turn on the light? So, maybe I'm not so spooky anymore. Turn on the radio, you're going to press this button, and you're going to control the volume with this large dial here.
One button.
Remember,
Dial.
the music does not play inside the office. There's a speaker right there that's going to be playing music. So it's going to sound quiet in here. Make sure you check outside to see how loud it is before you quit messing with the radio, because you may just leave it really loud and then you won't know because you're in here and it's nice and soft in here. So yeah, that's what you're going to be doing in here, getting your test kit, using the binder, and messing with the radio. So the first thing you're going to do after you clock in, ooh, this is not acoustic at all, hold on. You are going to conduct a pH test and chlorine test. When you come out here, make sure to spot check the water, see if there's any major debris or dirt that you can get out of the water. So like right now, if we look at this water here, you can see there's some leaves floating around. There's a little bit of dust on the steps. That can be brushed, that can be netted with the net right there. Look at the net. Amazing. So, 4 times a day we have to do pH tests and chlorine tests. Once a week we have to do an alkalinity test, a calcium hardness test, and a cyanuric acid test. Most of the time you're going to be doing a pH and chlorine test since you have to do that 4 times a day, so we're only going to demonstrate those. Let's begin with the pH test.
Look at what you're using.
We're using this testing kit right here, and this is the testing apparatus. So when you're gonna take for a pH test, you need to fill the large cylinder to the 44 milliliter mark. See that right there? Yeah? Okay, awesome. You're gonna take a sample of water, but you have to reach in elbow deep. If you take from the top, you may have like sunscreen or something on the surface of the water. It'll mess up your reading. So for the pH test, we need R0004. And then you're gonna.
Didn't get it.
You didn't get it? Oh no!
You moved too fast. Where does it say 444? Hold up, let me film it. There we go.
Did you get that?
I'll see it.
Awesome. If you don't get that, you can just look online and there's an instruction manual there for you. It's very quick to the point. It's not dragged out like these videos.
It's
So
also on there.
oh yeah, it's also written on here. If you're really, it's everywhere. Please, you can do it. I believe in you. All right, so you're gonna add 5 drops of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whenever you're adding drops, do not add them sideways. Always add them like this so that your drops come out uniform. Now we're gonna shake things up a little bit. All right, so we just got our reading. Once you get your reading, you're gonna hold that up to the sun. You can see here about at the 7.6. That is an excellent reading. Your ideal pH is between 7.8 and 7.2. 7.5 is perfect. After that, you're gonna conduct your chlorine test. So the chlorine test is the yellow bottles. You're gonna use R0001, R0002, and R0003. For the chlorine test, you're using the small cylinder, so I like to seal the top cylinder, the large cylinder, with my hand so that doesn't fill up with water. Only the small cylinder does. Same thing with same thing as all the other tests, elbow deep. With the chlorine test, you're gonna bring the water to the 9 milliliter mark. So see right there, it's on the clear part, there's a 9 there. It's not on this black part, it's on the 9, it's on the tube itself. So now we're gonna add 5 drops R0001. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are gonna add 5 drops R0002. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give her a shake. Hold that sample up to the light. And you can see we are about 3, maybe 3 to 4. Ignore this second row of numbers. These are for bromine tests. We are looking at the chlorine numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 7.5, and 10. Those are for chlorine tests, don't look at the other side. It doesn't go 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, 5, 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 7.5, 10. All right, so what we just conducted was the free chlorine test. That tells you how much available chlorine is in the water to actually sanitize the pool. Chlorine that hasn't been spent up yet. So after you do your free chlorine test, you're gonna grab R0003 and you're gonna do your total chlorine test. This tells you how much chlorine has been used up and is now sitting as byproduct in the pool. We're gonna add 5 drops of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. You lose your cap, that's no big deal. And then just give that shake. So we could see here, it's also about 3 to 4. What we just conducted was the total chlorine test. If your total chlorine is higher than your free chlorine, it means that you have chloramines in the water. Chloramines are the byproduct that is produced after your free chlorine comes into contact with a biohazard and neutralizes that biohazard. Chloramines are what cause that irritation in your eyes, itchy skin, and create that awful chlorine smell. If you have chloramines, that means that you need to add shock to the water. All right, so after you've conducted your tests for the big pool, you also need to conduct the tests for the baby pool. The baby pool is a separate body of water, so it needs its own tests and treatments and everything. We have 2 pools here, not 1. Oh, I put 3. 1. So, come with me. Come with me, please. After you've conducted your tests, you're going to go back into the office and record your data. When you're in here, always remember to clock in. You're going to write down your name. You're going to write down the day. You're going to write down when you showed up, either in the AM or the PM. So let's say I showed up at 10 a.m. I'm going to put my time in at 10 a.m. And then let's say I left at 2 o'clock. I'm going to put my timeout on the PM side at 2 o'clock. And then I'm going to put my total hours on this side here. After you've clocked in and clocked out, this is the data sheet. This is where you're going to log your tests that you just did out there. So you can see we still need 1 more test for this evening for the big pool and the small pool. Since we only did the big pool test, we're going to write down that data. So you're going to write down the time you took the test. You can see here on the clock it is 7:30. So just round to the nearest hour. So we're going to put 7. And that's going to be put under T for time. S stands for sanitizer reading. The sanitizer reading, sanitizer is another word for chlorine. So our sanitizer reading was 3. And then for our pH, we got a pH of, what was it, 7.4, 7.5? We're going to put 7.5 because I always get it right. And then finally, you're going to come down to the next row, 25 through 28, and you're going to enter the time again, so 7 o'clock. And then turbidity. Turbidity is a measure of how clear the water is. When the water is clear, or when you can see the drain cover from the pool deck, that means, when you can see the drain cover from the pool deck, look at the drain cover, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking. You see me pointing to it, and you're like turning your head. Okay. See the black drain covers, those black squares that are in the baby pool and the big pool? When you can see those from the pool deck, it means that you have a turbidity of 5. So you're almost always going to be writing 5 here. If you can't see the drain covers from the pool deck, it means you have to close the pool. That's probably never going to happen because I trust you guys to treat the water. After that, you're going to put whether or not the drain cover is on. So for whatever reason, if those black covers ever come off, you need to close the pool. If the drain cover is on, you're going to write Y for yes. So every time you conduct a pH and chlorine test, you're also going to write down the time here, and you're going to put the turbidity here, which is always 5, and you're going to put Y because the drain cover is always on. So let's say hypothetically you need to treat the pool for something. Make sure you write down what you added up here in the slot above. So this section here, so you can see we got chlorine, soda ash, muriatic acid, baking soda, salt, cyanuric acid, or whatever else you can add. Make sure you log that here. Last thing you're gonna do on this sheet is the weekly tests. That includes total alkalinity, calcium hardness, and cyanuric acid. These are the 3 tests you do once a week. If you have the misfortune of taking the Sunday shift, you will have to do those tests once. That being said, that about covers it for the binder in the office. It's just clocking in and recording data. So, after you've recorded your data in the binder, you also need to record your data on the Google Sheet. So we're gonna go to Sheets. We're gonna go, I already had it open, so you're gonna go to the pool data log 2022. And then you're gonna go input your data. You're gonna pick the spreadsheet. So we are in week of 529 for the big pool. Sorry about that.
More.
What? Oh, how about here?
Goodness.
Is this good?
No, like this. Thank you. The light is above you.
Oh, like this is what you want. Sorry. So we're going to zoom in on our spreadsheet. We're going to put... This spreadsheet is only just to verify, for management to verify that you're actually conducting the tests and putting them in the binder. So you don't have to log whether or not the drain cover is on and stuff. We trust that that's on because that never comes off. So you're going to put your time in. Pick the number pad. We're going to put 7 for the time. Sanitizer reading, we're going to put a 3. And then pH, we are going to put a 7.5. Check. And then there is nothing else you need to include in here. We already know, unless you're doing the weekly test or you're adding chemicals. After you're done, you can just hit the check mark and close out the app, and you have officially recorded your tests. Make sure you do them for both the big pool and the baby pool. All right, so once you've conducted your tests, you can start dedicating some time to cleaning. Let's see here. Let's go back outside. So, if you have nobody at your pool and your pool is full of leaf litter, it is time to vacuum. Watch the vacuuming tutorial on another video. If there is a lot of leaf litter on the surface or like grass, because we have lawnmowers come in every now and then, and the wind will just blow all the grass right onto the surface of the water, and that's a great time to bust out the net and clean it up. Once you've cleaned up, there's another thing you need to check. Actually, you should do this before you start cleaning. You need to make sure that you have your stretcher, your buoy, and your shepherd's hooks. The shepherd's hooks are those 2 weird looking loopy long pole things up there. These need to be clearly visible and on display at all opening hours. If you don't have those out, the health inspector will take off points. Other thing you need to check. You're going to go into the pump room and check the gauges to see if you need to backwash. So let me get the keys real quick. I'll be right back. All right, we have the keys to the pump room. come inside. So the pump room is pretty loud. What you're gonna do in here, you're gonna check all the checks. I'm not gonna go in detail about this stuff, but all the instructions on how to do everything in here are on separate videos and are on your instruction manual. So in here, you're gonna check to see if the baskets in the pumps are empty, and if they're not, you need to empty those. So these baskets here. And then you're gonna check if you need to backwash. To tell if you need to backwash, you're gonna come look at this gauge here. So look at the gauge. If this gauge is above 10, if it's at like 15, then it's time to backwash. Right now, you don't need a backwash. Always backwash after you vacuum, and always backwash if the gauge is above like 10. Last thing you'll be doing in here is chlorinators. Check the chlorinators to make sure they don't need tabs. There's a separate video on that as well. And if they need tabs, add tabs. And depending on how your chlorine test comes out, you're gonna adjust the dial here to compensate for chlorine. So like if your chlorine test is low, you're gonna adjust the dial down to 1. And if your chlorine test, if your chlorine test is low, you're gonna adjust the dial up to 5. This dial here. So if your chlorine test is low, you're gonna adjust the dial up to 5. And if your chlorine test is high, you're gonna adjust the dial down to 1. 1 is basically off, 5 is maximum flow. The only other thing you're gonna need to do in here is fill the pool, and you do that over there, or you can use the well by getting the key from that orange bucket right there. Separate videos on that as well.
When you check the baskets, make sure the pumps are off.
Yeah. I think there's a separate video on checking the baskets. Have we recorded a video on checking the baskets?
I don't think so.
We'll record a video on that. Anyway, actually, let's just do it right now since we're here. So, what the heck?
So you gotta hit the wrench to turn it off?
Yeah, wrench is off, clock is on, wrench is off, clock is on. So now our pumps are off, which means
the water stops spinning.
Yep. To access the pump baskets, all you gotta do is turn counterclockwise and lift. Don't be afraid if water comes gushing out of this, that's entirely normal. You're gonna lift up your basket, you're gonna take this to the trash, and you're gonna empty it out. When you're returning your basket, make sure the notch and this entrance lines up with this pipe and the notch over here. If you don't have the notch lined up, then what? Am I too loud? I'm trying to talk over the pump. If you don't have the notch lined up, you won't be able to put this back on. Twist clockwise and that'll seal it up. The only other thing, the only other thing in here that you'll need to access is the vacuum and the vacuum hose. Video on how to vacuum separately. Before you lock up the pump room, make sure to turn off the light and make sure the pumps are running. All right, so after you've done all that, you are fully open and operational. Congratulations, you have just opened the Auburn Meadows Pool Clubhouse. Thanks for watching. Tune in for next time when we talk about closing.